All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Rotler. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Rainbird's Golf's Central Control Products. Today we're going to talk about the Rainbird Golf Central Control version 8. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day and their very busy schedule, I'm sure, to sit with me on this call. This will be a long webinar. I've done it a couple of times before with the internal sales staff at Rainbird. It took a little bit over an hour, but I'm going to try and slow it down, at least my movements, so it may be running an hour and a half, maybe up into 2 hours, depending on what kind of questions we get asked as well. And again, that's because I'm going to try to move through the material slowly, so that and show you how to operate the system. The way the webinar is going to work is we're going to see a few PowerPoint slides at the start, and then we're going to get into the software, and we're actually going to see the software operate. I'm going to show you how to do things, how to operate items in the software. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Everyone is on mute, so I cannot hear you talk, and I can't hear you ask a question. If you do have a question, I will stop periodically through the presentation. Within the GoToWebinar window box on the side of your screen, you'll see a little symbol for a hand. So click that to raise your hand, and that will be an indication to me that you have a question. I'll pause. I will unmute your line so you can ask your question to the group and to me. Okay, with that, let's get into it. The agenda for the meeting, the webinar, we're going to go through what's new in version 8. We're going to learn how to update from version 7 to version 8, and we'll do that live on my computer. We'll learn about the front office improvements in version 8, how to import a map from version 7 into version 8. It is extremely simple. An overview of the version 8 map, how to manage a course from the version 8 map, and then how to create a simple map for the golf course if you do not have shape files from a CAD system. And that would be using a background image you acquire from a mapping source. And then we'll talk a bit about product availability at the end. Okay, so what's new in version 8 in the front office or the dashboard? I'll show you that it's going to have a refreshed look in the background, as well as updated icon images. There's fewer scroll screens across the top. We used to have 3 scroll screens. We now have 2. Now that's because the screens are wider than they used to be when the original software came out, when we were looking at a 4:3 screen instead of a 16:9 aspect ratio. The flow bar lets you select if you want to view a single pump flow or total flow from all pumps if you have multiple pump stations. We've added temporary program adjust as well as temporary schedule adjust, and I'll show you how those work. We've added full minute manual operation. Now this is a great feature. Many of you who have used our software for many years have found that if you run a manual irrigation cycle and you start it at, let's say, 8:05 a.m. and 30 seconds, if you run a manual operation, it will start immediately, but it will not run a full minute historically, because our irrigation always has historically started and stopped at the top of the minute. So if you ran a 1-minute manual starting at 8:05 and 30 seconds, at 8:06, that manual irrigation would have turned off. That's changed now. Whether you start a manual operation from a Freedom, from an MI, or from the Central itself, I'll show you it will run a full minute. Or if it's 2 minutes, it will run the full 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever on manual operation. The scheduled irrigations will continue to start always at the top of the minute. So that part has not changed, only the manual operation. We've included many software features and modules, and I'll talk a bit about this later in the presentation, basically toward the very end. So as far as purchasing extra key codes to upgrade or enhance the capabilities of the software, there's not a lot of key codes left to purchase. We've built in a lot of the options in version 8. And version 8 is Windows 10 compatible. So the map. What's new in the map? There's a lot of things that are new in the map. It's a completely revamped user interface. And the navigation on the map, moving left, moving right, zooming in, zooming out, is greatly simplified. You can do 90% of those actions with just a mouse. You don't have to click what you want to do and then do it. You just directly do it with a mouse. The map design and map modification, moving irrigation entities on a map, has also been simplified. You can drag an irrigation entity from the tree, the side view tree, and drop it right on the map wherever you want it. Or you can move it around the map very simply. We also support JPEG and PNG formats for background layers, the JPEGs, JPGs, and the icons use the PNG file format, and you can customize your icons as well. We have 4 dynamic action views in the tree map view. Okay, this gives the users many more options and greater control over their system. And we'll go through some demonstrations on that when we're looking at the map live. We have customizable layer settings that automatically display what you want to see at each zoom level. So the product allows you to zoom in and zoom out on the map, just like in version 7. However, in version 8, we begin to turn things off and turn things on the deeper or farther out from the map you go. You can view the map from a course level where you will not see a lot of detail. Go to the whole level, go to the area level, go to the station level, and the rotor level, and as you're zooming into those different levels, you'll see more irrigation entity information show up on the map. And we'll go through some demonstrations of that. So that's very powerful because it allows the user not to have an extremely cluttered map if they're zoomed all the way out. And they can pick what they want to see when they want to see it. We have customizable map symbols and active station indicators, or you would think of them as icons. So the hole markers, the area markers, the station markers, the active irrigation indicator, those can all be customized by you or by the user. I'll be creating another video that shows how to do those custom icons at another time. We won't cover that today. However, today we will cover how to take a customized icon that you already have created and implement it into the version 8 map. There's a quick location find on map feature. We'll go through that as well. I'll demonstrate that. And we've updated the map measurement tools. In addition, the visual indicators have been added for temporary irrigation adjustments. And you can see those in the tree view and on the map in the case of a station. The visual indicator is a color change. So if we have temporary irrigation that has been reduced for a period of time, you'll see a red symbol on the map and a red arrow down in the side map view tree, indicating there is less water being applied. If you've increased it, you'll see a blue arrow going up in the view tree and a blue icon on the map. And again, we'll demonstrate and go through this in the live action portion of the webinar. There's a lot of action commands available from both the tree view and on the map. Turn on a station, turn on a program, turn on a schedule, pause, resume, stop. We'll see all of this. You can see the status of programs, schedules, areas, flow zones, and stations from the tree view and the map as well. We'll have a look at how the status information works during the webinar. I'll show you how to quickly activate a number of stations from the map at the same time, as long as they are in the same area. We can create, we can delete, we can copy programs and schedules right from the map tree. We don't have to go back into the front office program detail to do that. And we'll do an example of how to create a new program. You can manage irrigation from the tree view or the map. And again, starting, stopping, pausing, resuming. So I'm going to stop here for just a moment and see if there's any questions that anyone has. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Okay, no questions. Now, the last slide before we actually get into the map and see some stuff happening. A lot of people have asked about, well, how do we upgrade from version 7 to version 8? And so I'm going to give you the instructions. I'm going to show you the instructions here. And then we're going to do it live on my machine. First, you want to download the version 8 software and the latest MI version, which is 4.5, if you're using MI. When the software is available, it will be on the Rainbird Distributor website, and you can download it right from there, just like MI version 4.5 is already today. You'll want to contact GSP, Rainbird GSP, and get a new key code for version 8. Version 8 key codes are different than version 7 key codes, so what you had for 7 will not work for version 8. And you can also not have version 7 and version 8 active on the same computer at the same time, or even installed on the same computer at the same time, because they share some common files, and the computer needs to, in file locations, and the computer needs to have either version 7 installed or version 8 installed. You can go back and forth, by the way, with the database. The database file for Cirrus Nimbus Stratus 2 or Stratus LT can transfer from version 7 to version 8, from version 8 back to version 7 without an issue. However, the map, once you move a map from version 7 to version 8, because our mapping is significantly improved in version 8 and the capabilities, it cannot be moved back to version 7. So database can go from 7 to 8, 8 to 7. Map can only go from 7 to 8. Another little comment about MI. If you're on an older version of MI and you upgrade to version 8 and you install version 4.5 MI, you will just uninstall the current version of MI, reinstall version 4.5 of MI, and there should be no need to contact GSP because your registration key codes go with your computer. And so you will already have had those loaded. So that should be a seamless update. Now, what I recommend to do when you're moving from software version 7 to version 8 is to create a backup copy of your version 7 Rainbird directory. This way you'll always have a copy of it, and I'll show you how to do that. You'll want to uninstall version 7 and the current MI version through Programs and Features. Then you want to go into your Rainbird directory. In our case today, we're going to do Cirrus. If you go into your Rainbird Cirrus directory, you want to look for the cirrus.exe file. And if that file is in that directory, just delete the file, because that's going to be the previous version of Cirrus. If you're on another software platform like Nimbus 2, you'll go into the Nimbus 2 directory and delete the nimbus.exe file, or the Stratus 2 directory and delete the Stratus 2 exe file. Then you'll install your version 8 in MI version 4.5. You'll enter your key code for version 8 and open your database. Okay? So now let's take a look at the software and we'll do some live demonstrations. Are there any questions so far? Okay, I see no questions. So what everyone should be able to see here on my screen is we're running version 7.6. This is a current Cirrus. I've got a database loaded with some programs, and this database also has a map associated with it. I wanted to show you how now to convert from version 7 to version 8. I will close Cirrus. I will go to my Rainbird directory. I'll say it's this one. Nope. That's going to be your C drive, Rainbird. And what I'll do is I will copy that directory and I will just paste it right here into the same folder on my C drive. Now, for me, instead of just saying copy, I like to come in here and change the name by pressing F2 or however you like to change the name. And I will call this version 7.6 so that I know this was a copy of my version 7.6 directory. So I have the active Rainbird directory and my copy version 7.6. I will now go into Windows, Control Panel, Programs and Features. I will find Cirrus. Note that it is version 7.6.8 that I have installed. And I will uninstall Cirrus. This whole process is actually, I believe, pretty fast and pretty simple. Okay, now we see that Cirrus is uninstalled. The next thing we want to do is go to our Rainbird Cirrus directory and find this cirrus.exe file. Recall, that is version 7.6 Cirrus, and I'm not going to want that. So I will hit delete. Are we sure we want to delete? Yes. And now that file is deleted. I will now go to the location on my computer where I have saved my version 8 central control software. So as you can see, I'm going to load Cirrus version 8, the build from March 20th. This is still a pre-release build of Cirrus. I will double click on Setup. And this will install Cirrus version 8 on my computer. Is there any questions while this is installing right now? Nope, no questions. Okay, it says Cirrus has been successfully installed. Now, I don't have my system connected to a live irrigation system. My computer's not connected. So what I don't want is every time I restart my computer, I don't want Cirrus to start up. So what I typically do is I'll go to Windows and find the Start menu item, the Startup, and I will right mouse click and delete Cirrus out of the Windows Startup folder. Now every time I start my computer, it will start up without Cirrus starting up. I can now go to my desktop, find the Cirrus version 8 icon, double click, and start up version 8. When this starts up, it's going to be looking for the key code for version 8 because the previous database that I was using was a version 7.6 key code, or version 7 key code. I'll select New System ID, and I've already talked with GSP and got my key code. It's Scott Rottler V8 Demo. I verify my system ID is correct with what I got from GSP, and it is. Now I can put my key code that they've provided me in here. Select OK. And I have a subscription code, so I need to put in my term code for the subscription. And I have 30 days remaining. Now at this point, I'm going to do what the screen asked me and restart the database to assure that the subscription key code, everything is working fine. So I'll close Cirrus and exit. Back to my desktop. Double click Cirrus again. Now you'll see it's licensed to Scott Rottler's V8 Demo. I've got a V8 key code in there. And this will be the new look for version 8. You can see that the background is a different image. You can see that the icons have a fresher, cleaner look. And you can see there are 2 scroll screens where there used to be 3 scroll screens. So it's an updated look on the dashboard. I'm going to reset the alarms so it's not blinking at us. Are there any questions? Okay, Brian has a question. And let's see. Just one moment, please. So there's a question about when a computer is relaunched, the wallpaper is not there. Is there a setting to keep the Cirrus logo on the wallpaper each time? So I think, Brian, what your question is if you are in this central area of Cirrus, Nimbus Stratus, Stratus LT, and you click the right mouse button, you may be selecting blank screen. If you want to see the wallpaper, you can select your image resolution and go OK, and it will show the wallpaper. If I want a blank screen, I can right mouse click, select blank screen, and this is what I see. I like the 16 by 12 for this computer at this resolution. Now, the next thing I'm going to show is in our program section. And through the program section, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start this irrigation program. Now, I'll have you look at the flow information area here. Just like we've historically had, you'll see that pump 1 with an active program here is currently running 394 gallons per minute. And the maximum flow capability for pump station 1 is 1,000 gallons per minute. So it's on its ramp-up cycle. If I press the 1,000, oh, my mistake, I must close the program schedule. If I press the 1,000, it brings up all of the pump flow information. So here I can see that pump 1 is running at 394. I can see that pump 4 is running at 45.2. So you can see this in version 7.6.8 that I had. And if I wanted to see pump 4 flow up in the bar, I can select pump 4 flow. What's new in version 8 is the ability in the flow bar to see total flow of all pumps combined. So now you'll see there is no individual pump reference. It is all pumps. And the total flow of all pumps is 2,500 gallons per minute. So this is a change in version 8. We'll go back to the program detail, and I'm going to now turn off this program by pressing the stop button. We talked earlier about a new feature called temporary program adjust. You can find temporary program adjust in the front office from the program schedule and detail screen under the water budget column. If you click on the water budget percent and then click the drop down box, it will give you your water budget base percentage, your temporary adjustment percentage, and your days in duration. Now what this is going to do, if I come in and I say, I want this program, whenever it runs, to run 70% of the run time. So it's going to be reducing the amount of water that's applied to the golf course because maybe it's a little bit wet. And I want this to go for 3 days. What's going to happen, I'll select OK, and you'll see that it's made an adjustment in the properties table. And so for the next 3 days, this program is only going to run at 70% of the runtime. After 3 days, this is going to revert back to 100%, and you will see a countdown. Tomorrow it will show 2 days. The next day it'll show 1 day, and after that it'll go back to 0. And you're correct, if anybody had the question, if right now at 8:30 a.m. I set it for 3 days, and I came back and I looked at this at 2 p.m. today, this will count back to show 70/2 because in the software we do our day rollovers at noon. But this is a quick way for the superintendents or the irrigation managers at a golf course to change how much water is being applied to the course and then not have to come back in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days and make an adjustment again. The system will do it for them automatically. They don't have to remember it. Now, if you wanted to clear this temporary adjustment out because it was done and you just wanted to stop it, it's very simple. From the program schedule detail, drop down the water budget properties for that program and clear the temporary adjustment. And it takes it back to your base schedule. That same capability is available as well on the schedules within the program. So we have the Deepwater Greens program. If we go into the schedules for Deepwater Greens, I can see that green number 2 has a temporary adjustment already set of 70% for 2 days. And there's no adjustment set on green 1. Let's say green 1 was a little bit dry. We can click our drop-down menu box. We can change our temporary water budget adjustment to 130% for 5 days. And say OK. And now you can see the temporary schedule adjustment has been made as well. Are there any questions on temporary adjustments? Okay, I see no questions there. The next thing I'm going to demonstrate is the full minute manual operation. So we'll go to our monitor log. We will go to the course monitor DMA screen. And I'm watching my time here. We're right at the top of the minute. So I'm going to give it just a bit of time to go here. And let's say we want to turn on green number 2 to run for 1 minute. And then we'll press accept here so that green number 2, station 2 on green 1 will run for 1 minute, starting at 32:33. So when I press the start button at 32:33 seconds, you'll see this green came on. So it's a manual operation. Now historically, when we got around to the top of the minute, you would see this turn off. And you would have only gotten, I don't know, 28 or 29 seconds worth of a 1 minute. Now, you'll see that this is still operating. At the top of the minute, it says, I have 32 seconds left to go, and it's now counting down. And this station is still irrigating at 23 gallons per minute. And there we go. At 32 seconds, 1 full minute, that manual irrigation cycle stopped. So that's the full minute manual. So that's great to go out and talk to the golf course irrigation managers about. Ask them if they've had that problem where it just doesn't seem like their full manual cycles are running that full amount of time. Version 8 addresses that. That's a good reason to update to version 8. Especially if they find that to be a significant problem for them. Okay, that's all that I want to show in the front office. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point? No questions? Okay. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how to import the map that was associated with this database in version 7. The first icon on the left is information about this central control, what version you have. The second map icon on the way in is the course monitor, or the map. So I will press or left click on the map icon, and it's going to tell me that there are no current map files for this database. But it did find maps on the computer, and it's asking us if we wanted to import them. So we'll click on yes. We'll click on the map item, and it's going to say, I found source maps in this directory, and I'm going to convert them and put them in this directory. Now, here is something very important, and we talked about this. I mentioned this earlier. The map locations in version 8 are different than the map locations in version 7. So, version 7 map information was in a directory called maps, M-A-P-S, plural. And then the 3-digit extension of the database, and then whatever the map course name was. In version 8, it's going to bring the map into a directory called map, M-A-P, singular. So this is a quick way to know if you have a version 8 map or a version 7 map. And it's going to then create a directory called the site dot the 3-digit extension, or 3-letter extension of the database. And then here it's going to create and bring in map 1. And you can have map 1, map 2, map 3, multiple maps. So I'm going to import these maps by saying start. Okay, now it's imported the background layers and the control layers. We will close the map importer. And we now have a map in version 8. When you first start running the mapping software, there's a lot of tips that pop up on the screen. You can dismiss these and not or uncheck this box so they do not show automatically. But I don't recommend you do that, or the customers do that at the start. This is a lot of great information on how to use the map, how to navigate around the map, how to zoom in, how to zoom out, how to go back to the full view, refreshing it, how to select information on the view tree. This is the view tree on this side over here. How to select irrigation symbols on the map, what the map pin is or the find on map, the locator, how to use it, how to clear information or markers you've put on the map, how to look at the properties for the entities on the map, a quick bit of information on programming, adding schedules to the station, operating multi-stations, unselecting, and how to use 2 monitors. So that's another great thing in version 8, and I can't show you here because I don't have 2 monitors connected, and they don't show well on a webinar. But I will historically run 2 monitors at my desk. One of these monitors will have, I usually have the course monitor log, the DMA up, and on the other monitor I have the map. And so I can see what's going on in both places at the same time. It's a great feature in version 8 that we didn't have in version 7. So there's another really good tip for selling, is if you have courses with 2 screens, they can run version 8 on both screens and have different information shown. Map on one, front office on the other. So for now, I'm going to close down the map monitor tips, and I'm going to show you how to navigate around the map in version 8. You'll see that there's no longer any navigational icons up at the top. That's because everything is done with a mouse. So if I click on the map and hold down my left mouse button, I can move the map left and right and up and down. If I want to zoom in and get a closer look at things on the map, I use the mouse wheel and I scroll in. And some mouse wheels are a little more sensitive than others, and some have a little less tactile feel. So the user is going to have to get used to the feel on their mouse. But one mouse click in takes you from this view, which is the whole course view, into the area view. And one click again will take you into the station view. And another click in will take you to the rotor view. And you can continue to zoom in. And all I'm doing is rolling my mouse wheel forward slowly. So I can also roll my mouse wheel backwards and zoom out the same way. The other way to do it, if you want to drag and box a certain area to look at, you can hold the Shift key on your keyboard, press the right mouse button to zoom in or to box the area you want to zoom in on, and then let go, and it will zoom right in on that area. Now, if I want to go back out to the full view of the map, I can come up here to the map location or the map file item, drop-down menu, and I can select map full extent, which means the full extent or the full view that we have set up. So that's how you navigate around the map in version 8. It's much simpler, it's much faster, and much less cumbersome than version 7. Along the top here, we have some different menu items. We can switch directly to the front office from the map. We can open a map, which will basically allow us to create another map within this file. We can go to map design, which will allow us to move around the irrigation entities, like the hole markers, area markers, stations, pumps, flow branches, all of the entities that you've placed on a map in the map designer. And we'll look at that a little bit later. You can import a map, but we don't need to because we've already done that. There's also help and then information about the map design. And you can exit from the map right here as well. Alternatively, you can press the X button up in the upper right corner and exit that way. Under the map drop-down menu, you can look at the previous extent on the map. You can look at the full extent. You can look at the settings on the map, and we'll go through these in a moment. We can go to the background layer settings, the irrigation layer control settings, the tools for measuring, and the map tips that we saw at the start. You can see we have our current time, date, and the current flow for the total system. The next thing I'll talk about is the view drop-down. This is an area that will allow you to do two things. It will allow you to change the views on your map, as well as change the view tree settings over here. So currently, we're in the program view. So you see all of the programs. If we went to an area view, you'll see the view tree changes, and you will see that more information is shown on the map. These are going to be the hole markers. You can see a flow view, which gives you the pump and the branch information. And you can expand this all the way down till you get to the stations. And all of this information is not built in the map. This is all built from the front office. So it's bringing the front office information to the map. And then you can also view the satellites if you have a satellite system, and break it down to the stations. If you want to hide the tree, you can hide the tree, refresh it, or select View Settings. Now, in View Settings, this is going to allow you to do a couple of things. Even though, let's say, for example, right now we are in, let's go to the Program View. And I'll select View Settings. And in the Program View, at the zoomed out level, we don't see any area information, any of our area markers. But let's say we wanted to see those in the Program View. I can select Area and then Apply Changes or Save. And now what this is doing is it's bringing every irrigation entity you're showing in the Area View and also showing it in the Program View. And this will also apply if you went to the Flow View. These settings would apply to the Flow View and the Satellite View as well. So this is where you can utilize one area where you can utilize different views and different settings across the multiple views that we give you. So there's two buttons here, right? One is Save, one is Save and Close. So Save if you want to make a change and see what it looks like. Save and Close if you know what you've done and you know you want that. You can save it and close right out. Are there any questions about these view settings or anything we've discussed thus far? Okay, no questions. Let's talk now about the zoom factors. Again, I mentioned it briefly. We said at the full level, this is the whole level or the course level. One mouse click in will be the area level. And you'll see, I guess I should show you, these are the icons that are currently set for hole markers. I scroll in one step and the area marker icons show up in addition to the hole markers. I scroll in another level and I start to see the station icons. This course happens to be an IC course, so I have each of the stations set up to look like a rotor. So, and then you can zoom in again and see rotor information, or the rotor icons, but obviously they're already shown since it's a IC course. Now, there's a lot of information on the screen. And part of the reason that we like to let the user define what they want to see is because maybe people don't want such a messy map as they zoom in. So you can adjust what is viewed from the background layers. So if I come to the Map drop-down window and go to Background Layer Settings, these background layer settings work just like version 7. If they're checked, they're on. If you want to turn them off, you uncheck them. And it's a double click to uncheck or a double click to check. And so I'm going to turn off some of this information. I'm going to turn on the tees. I'm going to turn on the greens. I'm going to turn on the sand and the fairway, and I'm going to turn off the rough. I'm also going to change the color. You could do this in version 7 as well. I'm going to change the color of my sand because I don't like blue sand. It looks too much like water. And then I'm going to show you something that is new. For example, I'm going to look at mains and laterals. Now, main lines and lateral lines, we have the shape files for those. This is how you define which view setting these show up in and at which zoom level on the map they show up. For example, if I'm on my laterals, right now there's a set as a viewing in the backdrop. If it says backdrop, it's going to show up in every one of these views. But let's say I only want them to show up when I'm looking at the flow view. I can select flow. And the zoom level for the laterals, I only want them to show up when I'm zoomed in at the station level. The rest of the time, they will be off. So laterals are on, they'll show up on flow view at station level. The main line is another one. I don't want to see it everywhere. I only want to see it in a flow view. But when I am on the flow view, I always want to see this main line, which will be the blue one here. And we can thicken up that main line by increasing the size. And so I know this is what I want to do. I'm going to apply changes and close. And you'll see now, again, if we look over here, we see the programs. We're on a program view. There's no main lines. If I zoom in, I'm now at the station level. There's still no main line, and there's no lateral lines. If I come to view and select the flow view, you'll notice the main lines showed up. And in light blue, I don't know how well this is coming through on the webinar, but you can also see the laterals. If I zoom out to area view, station area markers, but no main lines and no stations, or I'm sorry, no laterals and no stations. If I switch to area view, the laterals go away and the main lines go away. And as I zoom in, there's no laterals. Is there any question on viewing different layers and showing layers in different views? Any questions on that? Okay, excellent. No questions. Now, some of you might say these icons look a little bit big, right? So these rotors look a little disproportionately sized. You can go to Map, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to resize or rescale the icons in two methods. One, you can come to Map Settings, and you can rescale all of your symbols using the symbol scale. Let's say we want them to be 70% of the size that they are now. I can save it, and you'll notice everything shrunk down in size. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close. The other option, or the other way to change scale, is through the well, darn it, I was right the first time. Through the control layer settings. So in the control layer settings, you can come in and adjust any individual marker. For example, if we think these hole markers are a little bit small, we can scale those up without scaling any other markers. If, for example, I don't like the yellow text color, this is just like in version 7, I can change the text color for the stations to be a different color, and I can rescale them again down another 80% from where they are now. So we give the user the ability to scale and customize right here. Another thing people have said is, well, Rainbird, we don't always like the custom icon or the icon images you give us as standards. And in version 8, that's okay, because we give the customer the ability to modify those. I'll be doing a webinar, or I'll be doing a video on how to create an icon and use it in the map at a later time. But today I'm going to show you how to replace some of these icons that we have with new icons. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to close down the map. And I am going to show you where the icons for these are located. If you go to your C drive, Rainbird, then go into Map, M-A-P, Icons, you'll see that you have 4 main folders, A, B, C, and D. And these 4 folders are the icons that are shipped with Cirrus. So here's your area marker, your hole marker, your station marker, your temporary adjust station markers. If irrigation is running, you would see these icons. You can go to symbol set B and look at other alternatives. And what we have is 4 different symbol sets that you can choose from. So the first thing I want to do is show you how to replace these if you have a different symbol set that you like better. So I have on my computer a training folder where I have some icons in it. And so maybe I like these icons better for the area marker, the hole marker, the map pin, and the running markers, or the running indicators. With the map closed, you can go into the Rainbird map icons. I'm going to say folder A, and I'm going to select area, hole, map pin, and those 4 running icons. Hit my right mouse button and delete them. Now, one thing I should say is the new icons you bring in have to have the exact same names as the ones you're deleting. And so I've already created that. Area, hole, map pin, and running. So I will take the icons that I created. I will copy them and paste them into that icons A directory. Then I'm going to do the same thing over on directory B because I have a separate set that I like. I'm going to grab area, hole, map pin, and the 4 running icons. Right mouse button, delete. Yep. Then I'll grab these, copy, paste, and now I've replaced the icons that Rainbird Map is going to be looking for. So if I come back to the front office and I reopen the map, you can see right off the bat that my hole markers have changed. And if I zoom in, the area markers are different. And now I can see here that with this size of these hole markers, they're way too big. So I go to Control Layer Settings, select Hole, take my scale back to 1, and save. Exit. So they're not overpowering any longer. Now, if I like that other icon set B, it's easy to change to. You can select Map, Map Settings, Symbol Set. We're on Symbol Set A. That's pointing to that Icons folder A. If I select Symbol Set B and save, you'll see the symbols change. The hole markers changed, and the area markers changed. I'm going to step ahead here and do something fun. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on this program. And so now you can see we have watering icons as well. So there's the active irrigation icons. Those were associated with symbol set B. I'll go to map settings, and I'll show you what it looks like for symbol set C that we did not touch. So that's the active irrigation icon for symbol set C. And active irrigation for symbol set D. And the great thing, as you've all seen, is if we don't like any of these, we can create new symbols and replace them. Now, this has nothing to do with the functionality of the system. This is all about user customization, user interface, having a little bit of fun. That's what we tried to do when we incorporated the different symbol packs, the capability to change the icons and let the user do whatever they want to use what they want to use. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop that irrigation. Okay, I'm going to pause here and see if anybody has any. Oh, I got hands up. All right, I am going to unmute Tom Jackson and allow Tom to ask a question. Tom, can you hear me? Tom, are you there? No? Okay. Let me look the other way at his question. My apologies, my screen is not allowing me to get to his question. There it is. Okay. So Tom has a question. It says, can you have a different station color text for different areas? For example, yellow for fairways, red for rough. And the answer is, in version 8 of our Cirrus software, the answer is no, you cannot. And I know Toro has that capability. And they do it because of the way their irrigation programming is designed. We do not have that capability today in this version. However, that is on our list of future enhancements to make in the next revision of our Golf Central Control software. Okay. It appears that we have no additional questions. All right. So the next thing we're going to look at is what's available from the program tree. In the program tree on the side, we're in Program View. So our view tree is the programs. We can right mouse click on a program and see these options. We can see a find on map to find wherever it is on the map. We can start irrigation, stop irrigation, pause irrigation, advance irrigation, or resume irrigation for that program. As well, we can see the status of that program. We can see the schedule properties and the program properties. So For example, if we go to Program Properties, we can see all of our setting information. And this from the map is also where you can adjust or enter your temporary adjustments for the program. Adjustment percent, days, you can set the priority. You can manage your irrigation days. You can see the start times, add, change start times for the program, and your system override options for that program. If you want it to run sequential or optimized, you can do forced progression, system off overrides, water budget overrides, and cyclone soak overrides. So you can do all of this management from the map Program Properties. So we can save and close. We can also, give an example here, we can start the program by right mouse clicking on the program and left clicking on start. It'll start. You'll see the irrigation indicators tell you what parts of the program are running. You'll see the, my apologies. You'll see the total flow of the system currently. And you'll see these are all in kind of a aqua color, indicating that there's an active program running for these. Now, if I right mouse click again the program, I can look at the status. And it tells me that we have active schedules running on map 1, program 1. And these are the active schedules. We can then come down into the schedules, and we can see information down here as well. We can see start, stop, advance, pause, and resume the individual schedule. We can see the status of that schedule and the properties. So let's take a look at status. We can see that map 1, schedule 1.1 is running. There's 2 active stations and no stations are soaking. So this gives you information about what's going on with that schedule. While we're looking at information, we can also click on the individual station that is active. Using your right mouse button over the icon or the symbol, you can identify. You can turn on, turn off, it's already on. You can pause or resume this station. You can see the properties of the station or the station status. So right now, it's flowing 23 gallons per minute. It's going to run for 36. It's got a posted time for the day of 36 minutes. It's ran 4, and it's got 12 to go. That's what's going on with station 1G1. So you can get that information right from the map. On the schedule itself, if you right mouse click and look at the properties of the schedule, it's very similar to the options you have with the program. You can do your temporary adjustments if you wish. This one's adjusted 130 for 5 days. If you recall, we did that in the front office. It's going to automatically run. You can see its start times if they're individually posted. And then you can see the station sequence, how it's going to run the stations. Now, one thing that I like to show is while this program window is up, we're looking at Program 1, Schedule 1. You do not have to close this to look at a different schedule. You can click on, with the left mouse button, Schedule 4, and it updates to Schedule 4 and shows you then the details with Schedule 4. The same thing if you wanted to look at Schedule 6. I'll left mouse click on that and it will update to Schedule 6. I mentioned earlier in the webinar that if you wanted to increase the water on a temporary adjustment, you'll see in the view tree a blue arrow that goes up as a quick visual indicator that you have a temporary adjustment, or a red arrow that goes down if you have a negative temporary adjustment. So these are visual indicators for the irrigation manager so that they know that they have something set on there that is different than their baseline standard. They have temporary adjustments. So we see that green number 1 was blue, so it has this positive temporary adjustment for 5 days. Let's say we want to eliminate that adjustment, take it back to just the baseline. From the map, you can adjust your days by right mouse clicking the box, enter 0, and press save. And that has now eliminated the temporary adjustment symbol and eliminated the temporary adjustment from Schedule 1. I'll now show you that you can stop irrigation by right mouse clicking and left mouse clicking on stop. Right mouse click, stop with a left mouse click, and you'll see irrigation is stopped on the course. Any questions about the program view? No questions about the program view? Now let's go next and have a look at the area views. The area view, you'll see the view tree is very similar. You have a course, you have hole, you have green, and you have your stations. And this is all defined, again, by the front office. Within the view tree, you have the capability to do a few things. You can come in at the area view, and you can look at the properties for the area, the status of the area, turn on, turn off the area, advance if you have multiple stations or some that are on temporary hold waiting for hydraulic pressure. You can pause, you can resume, and you can find it on the map. So let's look at the Find on Map feature. Let's say that I don't know where hole 1 is and where green 1 is. I can select green for hole number 1 by left clicking. I will right click to bring up the submenu and then left click on the Find on Map feature. And what that will do will put a map pin that I've selected at the location of the area marker for green 1. So if I zoom in, you'll see area marker for green 1. If I wanted to know where rotor 1G4 is located, I can do the same thing. I can right mouse click, Find on Map, and takes you right to 1G4. So there's our Find on the Map feature. Within the greens, you can see the properties, or within the area markers, you can see the properties of the area, and you can make adjustments to these values right from the map. You don't have to go to the front office. At the hole level, you can see the status of the hole, what's irrigating, what's not, and where the hole is, using the Find on Map feature. The stations themselves, since this is an IC course, will allow you to look at the station properties, the status of that station, turn it on, turn it off, pause it, resume it, or find it on the map. You can do all of this from the view tree. As well, if you select a station right from the map itself, for example, if you hover over the icon and right mouse click, you'll see you get the same options, with the exception of a refresh and a find on map, because you're already on the map and you know where your station is. Let's say I want to turn on this station. This is course 1, station 2, second hole, rough 6. Let's say I want to manually turn this on for 3 minutes. I can go to my time, enter 3 minutes, and press turn on. Okay, turned on for 3 minutes. And now you'll see that that station is irrigating. From the map, I can go back to the station and right mouse click it to bring up the window. If I'd like to pause that because I have a golfer coming by, I can pause it. And then you'll see an indicator on there that that station is paused. Time passes, the golfer moves on. I can come back to the icon, right mouse click again, and resume irrigation. And it will resume for the remaining time that it was set to irrigate. For now, I will go ahead and turn it off. If I also want to look at the properties for that station, I can right mouse click and select Properties. And it brings up the properties for station 2R6. Much like in version 7, you can see the run times, cycle times, soak, ET adjust. This is where you can put your temporary adjust for the station itself. So if the area is a little bit dry and I want to run it for 130% of the time for 2 days, I can make that change right here. And I will save that, and we'll see a couple of things happen. First, you'll notice that the icon turned blue because we have a temporary adjust that is adding more water. Second thing you'll see is over in the tree view, if I go to hole 2 and I go to rough, I'll see that 2R6 also has the blue up arrow, indicating that there's been a temporary adjustment on that station in the tree view. You can see it in both locations. So this happens to, again, be an IC course. You can see address information for the IC, information on the rotor. If you change the rotor, you change the nozzle, you can make those adjustments in the map. The flow branch information and precipitation information, all directly from the front office. Now, if I want to look at a different sprinkler, let's say I want to look at this one, all I have to do is left click on that sprinkler and it will update the station properties to be 1G4. And let's say I want a temporary adjust on this one of 60% for 2 days. I hit save. I notice that the sprinkler itself turns red, and in the view tree, 1G4 has the red arrow down, indicating less irrigation is being applied for a temporary amount of time. The next thing I'll demonstrate is how to turn on a series of rotors manually. So if I want to quickly turn on this block of 4 rough rotors, I can come to the map, I can hold the control key down, and I can left click on the rotors, or the stations, I should say. Now, you notice that these are all 2Rs. These are all rough. When you're doing a manual irrigation operation, you can only turn on rotors or stations within the same area. So if I came over here and I tried to select this green station, it's going to give me an error because it's not in the same area. When you're doing a manual turn on, everything has to be within the same area. But once I have these four selected, I can then, on any of these, press my right mouse button, select the time, and turn them on. Then, if I wanted to come in and turn on some of these green rotors, I can hold my control key, select my green rotors that I want, press my right mouse button, and turn them on. So I can turn on different areas, but I have to turn them on separately. In addition, let's say I wanted to turn on all of the perimeter rotors for area 1 or for hole 1. I can select the area marker and turn on perimeter 1 areas, given I have enough hydraulic pressure. To turn all of these off, we can come in and we'll start with the rough rotors. There's multiple options. I can come to the view tree, right mouse click on rough, and turn off. Okay. And we'll see that all of the sprinklers that were out here in the rough turned off. The green rotors that I turn on individually, I can also use the area marker on the green to turn those off. And the first hole perimeters that I turned on from the map, I can also go to the view tree and turn off, or right from the map, I can turn them off. So you have multiple options for turning on and turning off irrigation. So I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions about what we've just covered with the area and turning on and turning off the irrigation. I don't see anything related to that. Tom, I see you do have a question, and I'm going to hold that for just a bit. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to demonstrate gets a little more fun here. We're going to go over to the map design module and figure out how to move things on the map. So let's say a hole has been added, or rather a sprinkler's been added or a sprinkler's been deleted. So to go to the map, oh, I apologize. I need to show you how to create a program. So creating programs from the map is simple as well. You can go to View, Program. So you get your program tree view up. With a white background, this is the run mode. If you select the top bar, press on the top bar and left mouse click, it turns into edit mode. And you must be in edit mode to create and edit programs. So let's, for example, say we're going to create a new program. We'll select on the course. You'll right mouse click, and we're just going to add a standard program. And we're going to call this distributor training. And I'm going to save that. And what you'll notice is it will show up here in the view tree as distributor training. Next, I'm going to add a schedule by right mouse clicking on the program and selecting add a new schedule. And I'm going to call this Green 1. And I will save that new schedule. And now you'll see Green 1 as a schedule under the distributor training program. I will select Green 1 and make it active in the view tree. I will zoom in on this area. And now I'm going to select the stations to add to the program or to the schedule. So holding my control key, I'm going to select 1G1, 1G2, that should be 1G3, and 1G4, just like we did to do a manual irrigation. But when you're creating a program, it's a little bit different. In creating a program, you have the ability to select stations that are outside or in multiple areas. So I can come here and I can put 1P7 in if I want. So when you do a manual run, you have to stay within the same area of selection. When you do create a program, you can go anywhere you want with any areas you'd like. Now, once these are selected, you can hover your mouse or your pointer over one of the stations, right mouse click, and it's going to ask you if you want to add it to schedule Green 1, which is the one we want to add it to. And it's going to say 8 stations have been added to the schedule. Now we can look at the properties, and we can see 1G1, 1G2, 1G3, 1G4, 1A3, 1A2, 1A1, and 1P7, just in the order we added them. Now, maybe we didn't want this 1P7, right, because it's way out of where we wanted. We made a mistake. That's okay. You can come in here and delete a station, just that simply. If you wanted to add a station or insert a station, you also have that ability as well. So that is how you can create schedules from the map. You also have the ability to do quick years. Okay, let's see if there's any new questions here. Okay, we have a question from Alan. And his question is, so there's a question about doing IC diagnostics from the map. The answer to that is no, we cannot do IC diagnostics from the map in this version. Again, that is also on our list of things to enhance as we move forward with future releases. There's a question about if you have a group of stations on, can you select one of the stations to turn off? The answer of that is yes. I will demonstrate for you here. So let's say I have, let us go back to run mode. I'm going to turn on hole 1 green through the use of the area marker to turn on the entire green. Now I will select 1G2 and I will turn off 1G2. And so I hover over the icon, I right mouse click and turn off. And you can see 1G2 on its own turns off. Turn everything else off here. We look at other questions. Okay, another question is, when creating a program from the map, do you have to enter times or does it take the default? When you enter a program from the map, you have to enter times if you want it to automatically run. So you can go to Properties, Start Times, and I didn't enter a time, so that was a great catch on that. So let's say I want it to run at 8 a.m. Now we have the times entered for the program to run. I should show you, if I look at the green schedule and the properties of the schedule, and I look at the steps, you'll see that there's no run times in the steps. It's a little different here. Within the steps and the run times, if there's no entries, it's going to take the default runtime for that station. If there's a runtime entered in the schedule properties for the step on a station, it's going to override whatever the standard runtime setup is. So in this case, I believe these are all set up to run for 10 minutes. This is going to run for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, because it's going to run at the default level. Okay, that's all of the questions I think I see. Oh, one more, just one second. There's a question about the link in the program. The link, properties, steps, the link instructions work just like they do in the front office. It's about linking programs together, assuring that certain levels or certain sprinklers run before other sprinklers start. So you can have some different instructions in here. You can wait, you can link the starting of the schedule, the program. So, you know, you can link the start of this to the other one, to the other information. You know, link the start of the program to the deep watering of the greens. You know, make sure deep water green is complete before this starts. Tie things together. That's what the link instructions are for. Okay. Now, the next thing we'll go to is the map designer. So to get to the map design, to move irrigation entities around, you will select File, go to Map Design, and you'll get into the Map Designer section. And so you'll notice it's green on the background of the view tree. That means you're in an edit mode. You'll also see there's some map design tips, just like we had in the map operational tips. I'd encourage you and any user to go through and review these before you start using the map designer. There's a lot of great information in that. But what I'll do first is I will show, I'm going to go to my view for flow, where I have my main lines. And I like to start here because I know in my database I don't have any flow information on the map. And so just for fun, let's say I have pump number 1 should be right here, and pump number 2 should be right there. The power of the version 8 map is the simplicity in the drag and drop as you place the irrigation entities. And this is a huge selling point for this product. So if I want to put pump number 1 at this location, I simply press the left mouse button on pump 1 and hold it down and drag it and drop it wherever the tip of my pointer is. And if I want to move pump number 2 and place it on the map, I left click, hold my mouse button down, and place it on the map. That's how simple it is to place the irrigation entities on the map in version 8. Now let's go back to an area view. So we'll select View, Area. And what I'll demonstrate here is an irrigation entity move, right? So for example, let's say, we did some maintenance on the course and we moved sprinkler 1G2. So we have sprinkler 1G2. To move this on the map, I will hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, hover over the entity and left click with my mouse, and then I can just drag it to wherever 1G2 was relocated. And when I release my mouse, it relocates the sprinkler or that station on the map. Let's say, for example, the course eliminated 1G2 altogether on the map. What we could do is hover over the icon, right mouse click, and we can delete the symbol from the map only. And it's going to ask us if we want to do that. I'll say yes. And we have now deleted the symbol from the irrigation map. It still exists in the front office. It's still in the database. We've only deleted the entity on the map. If we want to bring that entity back onto the map and put it where it originally was, very simple. We grab the entity from the view tree, which was 1G2, and we drop it right on the map. It's a simple drag and drop. So that's how simple it is in version 8 to manipulate the map itself, or the irrigation entities on the map. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to cover, which is probably, as a sales guy, one of the biggest opportunities for us to sell this software to golf courses, is the ability to create a map without background layers, using only an image that's been captured from an external source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down the map application, and I'm going to open up a new database. And the new database I'm going to open does not have a map associated with it. Training Base 2. Now notice this was a version 7 database. I'm going to have to enter my version 8 key code here. New system ID. Verify my system ID is correct with what I got from GSP. Enter my key code. And it's a subscription, so 425, whoops, darn it, 51772, renew, and then I'm going to restart the database to make sure everything is completely and correctly done. Now, for those of you who will be switching between databases. It's very simple to do, but it's always a good idea to close the Cirrus and then reopen Cirrus every time you open a new database. That just assures that all of the registers are cleaned out and none of the irrigation information from the previous database is included in this new one. Okay, so as you can see, we're going to have some station information for the course. And this course has no programs. Now, one very important thing when we create a new map, you want to make sure you have a program created before you start to create your new map. So I'm just going to do a quick year program for the course. And I'm going to say course 1, start time, 9 p.m. Front. I'm just going to throw a generic schedule in here. So now I've got a schedule. Now, what I'm going to do is create a map. And this had no map associated with it previously. So think of all those golf courses that you have today with no mapping capability, but they'd really like to have something. I'm going to show you right now how we can get those golf courses up and running with a map on version 8 very quickly. What I'll do is I will select the map monitor, and it's going to tell me that no files were found. And it's going to ask if I have shape files or image files. Nope. I guess I should create a map first, shouldn't I? I'll create map number 1, and I'll call this the Distributor Training New Course, new map. So I'll create the map. And the answer is yes, I do have some background layer files. I'll create a video on how to capture these images, for example, and I'll make those available to everybody. But what I've done is I went to Google Earth Pro, and I've captured an image. And I've saved it as a high-resolution image on my computer. So, for example, we'll use this Train Course 3 image. So I can select the image that I have and want to use as my background, and I will open it. And I will save it and close. Now you can see that I have a background image for my map. Now, I'm going to give it a bit of information though. I'm using Google Earth, and I use them to create this map. Down in this lower left-hand corner, you'll see this Google Earth imagery icon, or watermark, if you will. Under the terms and conditions of using Google Earth and capturing images, it is illegal to crop that out of the image. So just be aware of that. If any of your golf courses are using Google Earth images, under their user license agreement, you're not allowed to crop out that information. It must always be presented. So anyway, I have my background map now. I've got a nice pretty golf course. I will go to Map Designer. I will go File, Map Design. And to get going really quickly on this, I am going to go to the View area. And you can see it's brought in the whole information. And I'll show a couple of things here. Now, let's say, just for fun, that we have hole number 1 right here. I can grab my hole marker by holding the left mouse button, dragging and dropping. I can put a green marker down by holding, grabbing, and dropping. I can begin to put the stations down by holding, dragging, and dropping. And I'm also going to do something else that many will have a problem with, but that's okay. This is just a demonstration. I'm going to show you that you don't have to put a hole marker and an area marker down to place down the station markers. It's better to, so you can grab and get information on the map, but you don't have to put the hole marker, you don't have to put the area marker. You can just put stations if you'd like. So what I've just done is I've put down 8 stations, 1 hole marker, 1 area marker on a map that I just grabbed from Google Earth. I'll go back to the map monitor, which is the operational side of the map. So File, Map Monitor. I can go to Area View, and I can see I've got hole markers, area markers, and I've got sprinklers. I can come in, grab my area marker for green 1, and I can turn on green 1. I can go to hole 1Ts, and I can turn on, well here I can, actually I'll just turn it on from here. I can turn on T1. So what we've done in 5 minutes is brought an image into version 8 maps, put a few irrigation entities onto the map, and now we are actively monitoring and taking action on the golf course, irrigating the golf course from the map application in version 8. Come in here, I am going to turn off the TE. I'm going to right mouse click and turn off the greens. And that's the end of the demonstration in the mapping software itself before we go back to PowerPoint. So we'll talk briefly about the availability of the product. Current target for availability is mid-April 2017. Version 8 software is a no-cost version update for current GSP subscribers. So if we have a GSP subscriber on a full GSP plan as of April 17th, and they're on version 6 or newer of the current central control software, they're going to get a complimentary no-cost update to version 8. Now, Rainbird is not going to reach out to them. We need you to help us with those customers and have the customers or you reach out to us and schedule those updates. For customers who are not GSP subscribers today, my recommendation to you is to get out there and get them re-signed up on GSP before April 17th. If we do that, or if you do that, then those customers will be eligible for that no-cost complimentary update. If they're not on GSP as of 4/17, they're going to have to purchase an update if they want to stay on the same software platform, or purchase a software upgrade if they want to upgrade their software platform to get to a higher level. These customers that are not GSP are not eligible for the complimentary. I'm going to send out a golf marketing bulletin that will kind of list out some upgrade scenarios and paths. This is a quick view of it. I don't have page 2 shown. But if they're an active GSP member, as we discussed, they can follow the shaded box areas. If they're staying on the same software, if they're on Stratus LT and staying on Stratus LT, it's a no-cost upgrade. It's complimentary. If they're on Stratus LT and they want to go to Stratus 2, Nimbus 2, or Cirrus, they're going to have to buy an upgrade to get from Stratus to Stratus LT to Nimbus 2 or Cirrus. It's just an upgrade of the software itself. If they're not on GSP, get them on a GSP plan before April 17th, please, so that they can get the complimentary upgrade. If not, they'll fall into these categories where they're going to have to either pay for the update or pay for the upgrade. And the update is about $3,000. Upgrades will be more expensive. Some of the other things that's going on with version 8 is most of the software feature modules are now included. For Cirrus, if you buy Cirrus, you have all of the modules included. Nimbus 2, you have all of the previous add-on software key code modules included, except for Smart Pump. Smart Pump is still an option and available for purchase. Stratus 2 also has everything included except Smart Pump and the additional wire paths. And lastly, Stratus LT is going to have everything that was previously optional included except for Smart Pump. And you can have a look at our Central Control version 8 brochure if you have any additional questions on that. When we're ready to release the software, you're going to see an updated Central Control Operators Manual, a version 8 Map Operator Manual, a version 8 Map Creation Manual, and information on how to create and load a custom icon. Those will all be available. We're also going to have additional educational materials available on the launch date, how to create the icon again, how to update from version 7 to version 8, how to create and populate a simple map in version 8, and a quick overview of what's different. Those things we covered today. And that's the end of the webinar. I'm going to stop recording and ask if anybody has any additional questions.